What's going on, everybody? This is Catch, Hook, and Shoot. My name's Tom. I am your host. Today is Sunday, December 23rd. Hope everybody's having a good holiday weekend so far. Hope everybody gets a chance to spend time with friends and family and enjoy the holiday. Hopefully everybody's got at least one day off of work. And yeah, thanks to everybody who's been following the show, who's been downloading and watching on Podbean, Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, YouTube, Twitch, and any place else you might find podcasts. And hope everybody's following on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. And if you ever want to shoot me an email, as always, it's catchhookshoot@gmail.com. So let's dive right into what's going on in the world of wrestling this week. I'm sure by now everybody has seen or at least heard about Vince, Stephanie, Shane, and Triple H opening up Raw on Monday night, talking about basically starting a new era in WWE, saying you're going to see new faces, new superstars, new matchups, things like that. Yeah, I posted on social media at the time, it was a really good speech. They said a lot of good things. Now we have to wait and see if it's going to be put into action, and if the actions are going to, uphold the words, so to speak. So, we did see the announcement of Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens going to be returning soon, quote unquote. Didn't really give a time frame or a date. Sami Zayn did say that he is nowhere near ready to return yet. Of course, he's had double shoulder surgery. That's why he's been out. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see exactly what soon means as far as those couple of returns. Also announced some more new call-ups from NXT. Looks like EC3, Heavy Machinery, Lacey Evans, as well as Nikki Cross and Lars Sullivan are all going to be making their debut on either Raw or SmackDown. Now, Nikki Cross has already been on SmackDown a couple of times when they were over in the UK, and, she's had a couple of appearances, so I would assume she's going to end up on SmackDown along with the rest of Sanity. Lars Sullivan, they've been hyping his debut for a couple of weeks already. The only one out of this list that really surprised me was Lacey Evans. Wasn't really expecting her name. Not that she, doesn't deserve it or anything like that. Just didn't expect her to be called up at this point. She hasn't been in NXT as long as some of the other women superstars there, but she's definitely got a unique look. She's a little different from your typical WWE women's wrestler. So I'm curious to see where she's going to land on the main roster and what kind of programs they're going to put her into. Another announcement made on SmackDown was that Paige is no longer the general manager. So basically the McMahons are saying they're going to be taking control of the shows from this point on. So I would assume it would be mostly Shane, Stephanie, and Triple H. I don't think we're going to see Vince McMahon back on TV full-time anytime soon. So it'd be interesting to see what kind of role they give Paige. There was some stuff going around online. Maybe she's going to be a commentator, so she'll kind of have that Renee Young role on the SmackDown side, or maybe she's going to be on the kickoff panels. But I'm sure Paige is still going to be around. I know she's still under contract for she had a pretty long-term contract when she got injured and had to retire from the ring. So I'm sure they're going to find some kind of role for her to fill. Something I did like, one change that they made and hopefully they stick with was kind of highlighting the tag team divisions on both shows this week. We saw the Revival on Raw win the number one contendership for the tag team titles, which is, in my opinion, long overdue. We also saw Gallows and Anderson back on SmackDown, as well as Sanity. So the McMahons said they're going to start paying attention to what the fans want and that kind of thing, and this, is definitely a step in that direction. Fans have been clamoring for the Revival to get a better spot as far as title matches and things like that. Same thing with Gallows and Anderson. Sanity hasn't been featured on TV a whole lot at all, so hopefully this keeps going in this direction. Interesting note from SmackDown 2, Mustafa Ali picked up a pinfall on Daniel Bryan in a tag team match. There was some rumor that Daniel Bryan might have been injured in the finish of the match. Mustafa Ali hit his 054 splash in the corner, and if you watch the video back, his knee caught Bryan right in the side of the face. I'm sure that probably scared the crap out of a lot of people with Bryan's history of concussions and stuff. I haven't really read anything else about it, so I'm assuming he was okay. But you could hear from the cameras during the pinfall, you could hear Ali apologizing to Bryan. So obviously he didn't mean to land on the man's face. But again, that's one of those things, like Jim Ross likes to say, it ain't ballet, folks. Stuff happens. And I'm glad that we didn't see anything online, or at least I didn't. It might have been out there, but I missed it if it was. But, Ali's dangerous and he shouldn't be on the main roster and things like that, because I'm sorry, it's just really getting old and tired. Anytime there's a mishap in the ring, somebody's dangerous, somebody's careless, and things like that. It's just, yeah, I'm not even going to get into all that again. I've said enough about that with the last couple times that it's happened. For this coming week, Raw and SmackDown were taped. So, the Christmas Day and New Year's Day, or the Christmas Day episode, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, I'll get it right one of these times, episodes of Raw and SmackDown are already in the can, which to me is good. Give the superstars the holiday off, let them spend time with their family. I know a lot of people reiterated that same sentiment online. Then you had other people complaining, they're taping the show, it's not going to be as good. Well, so what? It's a tape show. How many people are going to be home, or how many people are going to be home sitting in front of their television Christmas Eve or Christmas Day? I know I'm going to be doing family stuff. I'll have to catch it later on or whatever. So, I don't think it's that big of a deal. And, these are the same people that were complaining last year about WWE forcing their superstars to work on Christmas Day. So it's with that particular cross-section of fans, you really can't win. They're going to complain no matter what. So it is what it is. I'm not going to give away any spoilers from the tapings. I have already read the results. And as you would expect with tape shows, nothing major happens. There was one title change, which WWE themselves has already announced. So I'll go ahead and announce it here. Rusev defeated Shinsuke Nakamura for the United States Championship on SmackDown. So hopefully the U.S. title will start having a little bit more prominence on SmackDown, because really the last few months it hasn't been a part of any big storylines, which is kind of sad. The U.S. title's always been one of my favorite championships, going all the way back to the NWA days. So, I'm hoping this is the start of a better trend with that as well. Some other news coming out of the supposed new era. Dave Meltzer is reporting that Finn Balor could be in line for a major push. Another thing that a lot of fans have been clamoring for. And also that Shinsuke Nakamura, contrary to some rumors going around online, is not going back to Japan and New Japan when his contract is up with WWE. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to stay with WWE. It just basically just said he's not going back to Japan, but he, whether or not he stays with WWE remains to be seen. There's plenty of other places he can go. Ring of Honor is one that comes to mind. Somebody who's definitely in need of some more top tier stars, since they've lost Cody Rhodes and Hangman Page and the Young Bucks. So we'll see what happens with Nakamura. I believe his contract is up sometime in 2019, so we'll see where he lands. Impact Wrestling announced this week they are changing networks yet again, moving from Pop TV to the Pursuit channel, which unfortunately on the cable system that I have, I do not get the Pursuit channel, so I won't be able to watch Impact unless they happen to start carrying that channel sometime soon. But as of January, Impact is moving to the Pursuit channel. A lot of people were asking, well, how come they didn't move to a bigger network that's more accessible and things like that? From what I read, Anthem Entertainment owns a stake in the Pursuit channel, so that really, from a business standpoint, makes a lot of sense. I'm sure it will, I'm sure financially it's a better deal for them to work with the Pursuit channel. So and Impact, has been improving by leaps and bounds over the last year. So I'm sure they're going to try to continue in the same direction. Hopefully, like I said, I will be able to somehow, some way continue to watch it, because I've really been actually getting interested in Impact again. Some other TV news. I'm sure everybody knows by now. WOW Women's Wrestling is going to be debuting on Access TV in January, so that's just another wrestling show for everybody to watch and keep up with. I mean, the state of wrestling right now is amazing. It's a great time to be a wrestling fan, just because there's so much out there. And there's really something for everybody. You know, if you're not a WWE fan, there's Ring of Honor, there's Impact, there's New Japan on Access TV, which is going to be going not live, but a little more current. Starting in 2019, starting with the Wrestle Kingdom show, which is actually going to be shown on January 4th here in the U.S. on Access TV. So, yeah, just an amazing time to be a wrestling fan right now. So that's really about it as far as news and rumors this week. I'm going to jump back into part 2 of my top 100 wrestlers of all time. And as I stated last week, this is the top 100 male singles wrestlers of all time. When I first started putting the list together, I was including women and tag teams and everything, just trying to make a complete top 100 list. And I quickly found out for me, it wasn't possible. I thought I would actually have a hard time coming up with 100 names, and before I knew it, I was at about 150. So I decided to just go with the top 100 male single stars of all time. For me, this is 100% my opinion, and I'm going to be doing a couple other shows at a later date, going through the top tag teams and also the top women. So I'm not going to leave anybody out. But this first list here, top 100 male singles wrestlers of all time. And last week we went from number 100 down to number 68. The first 33 names on that list. So this week we're going to be starting at number 67, and number 67 on my list is Randy Orton, multiple-time world champion, tag team champion, intercontinental, basically done it all, won the Royal Rumble, and I think is really kind of I don't want to say underrated, but I think he's one that's kind of taken for granted, just because and I'm sure WWE knows, you can throw him in a rivalry or in a match against pretty much anybody, and it's gonna be good. And he's one of those workhorse type guys that he can make a good program, a good match with just about anybody. Number 66, one of my favorites of all time, even now still that he's retired, is Edge. I was a huge Edge fan when he first started, with the whole kind of mysterious loner gimmick that he had going on, coming in through the crowd and things like that, and then became part of the Brood with Christian and Gangrel. Then Edge and Christian broke off from Gangrel, and that's when you started seeing more of their personality with their 5-second poses and their little catchphrases, and just really kind of being goofy, for lack of a better term, but always, when they were in the ring from bell to bell, there was really nobody better in that particular era as far as tag teams go. And then Edge's singles career, obviously multiple-time world champion, retired as world champion. Not many people get to do that. His career was cut short because of injuries, unfortunately, because I'm sure he still, could have had a few pretty good years after that. I don't know if he'd still be going now, but yeah, one of the top singles guys, probably, I would say, John Cena's best opponent that he's had, best rival that he has had in his long career. And even now, since retirement, he's gotten into acting. He's a regular on the History Channel show Vikings. He and Christian do the podcast. They've got their show on the WWE Network, which both of those things, the podcast and the network show, both utterly hilarious. If you haven't checked them out, please do. If you're a fan of Edge and Christian, you're gonna love it. But yeah, so number 66 for me is Edge. Number 65, this is one some people may complain about. The next two are probably some that people are going to complain about, that maybe they should be higher. But you gotta remember, I'm going through a more than 100-year history of professional wrestling here. I'm not just picking guys from my own lifetime and from the time that I've been a wrestling fan. So I'm going from basically 1903 until now. So some people are probably going to be a little lower than a lot of you guys might think, but for me, this is how it breaks down. And number 65 for me is Daniel Bryan. Just his indie career, he's one of the one of those guys that the fans really would not take no for an answer when it came to him. It's like, it appeared WWE really did not want to give him that push, even though he's one of the best in-ring performers in the world still right now. And I think it was just his size kind of worked against him in that area, because WWE's always been kind of about the bigger guys. But the fans just wouldn't take no for an answer when it came to Daniel Bryan, and really kind of forced WWE's hand to put him at that main event level. I know it was a huge blow to a lot of his fans, and to him as well, obviously, when he had to announce his retirement because of concussion issues. But as everybody knows, he was able to make a comeback this year and is now the WWE champion once again, which honestly surprised the hell out of me. I did not expect WWE, just because of his history with injuries and concussions and stuff, did not expect WWE to make him a top guy again, especially not that quickly anyway. I figured maybe he'd get the U.S. title, maybe he'd end up a tag team champion at some point. Did not expect him to be the guy that quickly. So when he got that victory over AJ Styles and became WWE champion, I think that was really kind of vindication for Bryan and for a lot of people. Moving on to number 64 is Kenny Omega. Really, Kenny Omega right now, probably the number one wrestler in the world, IWGP champion, and he's another guy like Cody Rhodes, like the Young Bucks, who has had a stellar career, has been extremely successful, and has done it without the WWE, which says a lot about Kenny Omega himself, just how much he's willing to work and things like that, and he's definitely earned everything that he's got. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with these elite guys come January. There's supposed to be a big announcement coming. I think most people are assuming it's going to be all elite wrestling, but we'll have to wait and see. Maybe they've, because by all accounts, All Elite Wrestling is not supposed to start till 2020, so maybe the elite guys have signed a short-term deal with some other company until that happens, or who knows? I'm sure they can get plenty of freelance work too without having to sign a contract. So I'm definitely excited to see what's going to happen there. Number 63 is Big Sexy Kevin Nash, WWE champion, WCW champion. He's been in TNA, another guy who's pretty much done it all. I think he gets kind of a bad rap by a lot of people just because of backstage politics and things like that. Obviously, he was a member of the Clique. He was part of the NWO in WCW. He was apparently he was the booker there for a little while, but he gets blamed for a lot of stuff that he was not responsible for, like I believe the finger poke of doom. A lot of people say Nash booked that, but according to him, he was not the booker at that time. So, a lot of, like I said, I think he gets a bad rap from a lot of people, but you can't deny his accomplishments in the business and his popularity. And for his size, 7 foot, 300 pounds, the way that he was able to move around the ring and some of the things he could do, one of the better big men in the sport. Number 62, the phenomenal AJ Styles. This is probably another one. Some people are going to say, oh, he should have been so much higher and this and that. But, again, we're talking about over 100-year history of professional wrestling here. But AJ is another guy who really made his name, made his career outside of the WWE, and really the only guy in my recollection to come into the WWE, already a huge worldwide superstar, and be pushed to the top. Normally that's something you don't see from the WWE. He was IWGP champion, TNA champion multiple times. He was the NWA champion. He was a champion in Ring of Honor, not the world champion. He held the, I believe it was ROH Pure Championship before that title was unified with the world title. So, again, somebody who has done it all, and just to see the push that he has gotten since entering the WWE really is unprecedented. Number 61, I really struggled with putting this guy on the list at all because I'm not a huge fan of his, but you really, again, can't deny what he's done in the business, and that's Brock Lesnar. WWE champion on multiple occasions, and just he's an attraction. He's probably the biggest attraction wrestler since Andre the Giant. I don't mean like physical size wise, but I mean as far as drawing power. He's that attraction. I think most people's biggest problem with him is it's not really a problem with him because it's wasn't really isn't his choice. But I think a lot of people's problem with him is the fact that he has been the Universal Champion for so long. I know he's just recently started his current reign, but prior to that he held the title for 500 plus days, I think it was, or 400 and some odd days, who knows, but broke CM Punk's record for longest title reign. But like I said, it's not his choice to be Universal Champion. That's the WWE's call. But like I said, as an attraction, he is probably the biggest draw since Andre the Giant as a special attraction. So he's definitely earned a place on this list. Number 60 is Greg the Hammer Valentine, former Intercontinental Champion in WWE, former United States Champion in the NWA, Tag Team Champion. Basically has done everything except be a world champion. But as far as technical wrestling inside the ring, there are very few who are better than Greg the Hammer Valentine. Number 59 is the Honky Tonk Man, longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time. Just one of the greatest heels ever. The way that he was one of those heels people would tune into or buy a ticket to see his matches just because they wanted to see him lose. It wasn't because they loved him so much and wanted him to win. It's because they wanted to see him lose. And that's what makes a great heel, because they can sell tickets. People will buy tickets, buy pay-per-views just to see them get theirs. Number 58 is, in my opinion, the greatest big man ever to set foot in a ring, Big Van Vader. World champion in multiple organizations on multiple continents, and if you've never seen any of Vader's matches prior to WWE, do yourself a favor, go back and find them. I mean, this is a guy did a lot of stuff in that ring that you wouldn't expect him to do, that you wouldn't think he'd be able to do. So Vader, like I said, greatest big man ever set foot in a ring, just passed away recently, and like I said, anything prior to WWE with Vader is what you want to see. If you can get a hold of any of his matches from Japan, or even his WCW matches against like Sting and Cactus Jack. He and Cactus Jack had some great matches in WCW, so I definitely encourage you to go back and check those out. Number 57 is the Iron Sheik, probably the quintessential foreign heel character. This is the guy that ended Bob Backlund's 6+ year title reign, and then also the guy that was defeated by Hulk Hogan to start basically kickstart Hulkamania back in 1984. Number 56 is David Von Erich. This is another one whose career was cut tragically short. Passed away during a tour of Japan. By all accounts, he was the guy. He had been tapped to be the next NWA World Heavyweight Champion. Had a great rivalry with Ric Flair. Really the leader of the Von Erich family in as far as on screen. And just cut way too short. Number 55 is the Great Muta. Now, if you're not a fan of Japanese wrestling, then you might not be too familiar with Muta. He did have some runs in WCW, had some great matches with Sting there. But this is another one I really would encourage you to go back and try to find some of his matches from Japan, because he is one of the top wrestlers ever to come out of Japan, and just one of the all-time greats. Number 54 is Barry Windham, former member of the Four Horsemen, United States Champion, World Champion, Hall of Famer now as a member of the Four Horsemen. And a lot of people might not know, early in his career was tag team partners with Mike Rotundo, IRS, in the WWE, and were the WWE Tag Team Champions at the first WrestleMania. They were known as the U.S. Express. And the song that has become synonymous with Hulk Hogan, Real American, was actually originally the theme music for the U.S. Express, Barry Windham and Mike Rotunda. So little bit of history for you there. Number 53, Jushin Thunder Liger, another Japanese star. Probably I would put him right up there with Dynamite Kid as probably 1 and 2 as the greatest light heavyweights of all time. multiple-time IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, and again, just one of the greats to come out of Japan. Number 52 is Tito Santana, former Intercontinental Champion, Hall of Famer, Tag Team Champion. I put him on the same level as like Greg the Hammer Valentine. There are not too many guys that are better in the ring from bell to bell as Tito Santana. Number 51 is Ron Simmons, first African-American World Heavyweight Champion in WCW, member of the APA in WWE along with Bradshaw. Great tag team in my opinion. They were one of my favorites, as whether it was part of the Ministry or when they struck out on their own and became the the kind of beer drinking, poker playing, cigar smoking bodyguard or protection agency type guys. Just a great entertaining tag team. But Ron Simmons on his own, even in his days as Farouk with the Nation of Domination, just really, again, one of the all-time greats. Number 50 is Pedro Morales. Pedro is the first person to hold all three major titles in the WWF, and which at that time were the World Championship, the Intercontinental Championship, and the Tag Team Championship. He was the first person to ever win the WWE Triple Crown. And he's one that I believe, it's slipping my mind now, but I believe he's the one that took the championship off of Ivan Koloff after Koloff took it from Bruno and ended his title run. Number 49, CM Punk. There have been few people to have the effect on wrestling that Punk has had, even to this day. I mean, he's been out of the business 3-4 years at this point, and people still chant his name at arenas all over the place. And this Punk was really kind of the first quote-unquote indie darling that broke into the WWE and really fought his way to that top spot. So he kind of set the groundwork for guys like Daniel Bryan, like AJ Styles, to get to the top of the WWE. And no matter how much WWE has tried to ignore him in the past or whatever, obviously you don't hear his name a whole lot other than from the fans. You can't deny, the impact that he had in the WWE and in wrestling in general. I mean, he was with Ring of Honor for a number of years before that. Was Ring of Honor World Champion for a time. Had some wonderful, just ridiculously good matches with Samoa Joe in Ring of Honor. Again, if you get the chance, go back and check those out. Number 48, the hardcore legend Mick Foley. Whether you call him Cactus Jack or Mankind or Dude Love or Mick Foley or Mrs. Foley's baby boy, whatever you want to call him, probably the greatest hardcore wrestler of all time. But I think his actual ability to just put on a good wrestling match is really overlooked. A lot of people talk about, or not a lot, everybody talks about, the match with him and The Undertaker in Hell in the Cell when Foley got thrown off the top. But, go back about a year before that. Look at the match he had with Shawn Michaels. It wasn't any kind of hardcore match, cage match. It was just a straight up wrestling match, and it was a classic. It was a great match. So he's just one of those guys that can go in there and put on a great match with pretty much anybody. Like kind of the same thing I was saying about Randy Orton earlier. So I think, everybody acknowledges how great of a hardcore champion he has always been. But I think his wrestling ability and his ability to put on a good match with just about anybody gets overlooked way too much. Number 47 is Shane Douglas. This is the man whose his win for the NWA World Championship kind of kickstarted ECW, and he won the championship tournament, threw the belt down, basically said ECW and the NWA is dead. I'm the ECW World Heavyweight Champion, and that just kind of started that whole revolution. And he's one that, again, along the same lines as Kevin Nash, kind of gets a bad rap. Has burned a few bridges in his day, no doubt about that. But you can't deny his contributions as well. Number 46, probably my all-time favorite ECW wrestler, is Rob Van Dam, one of the best high flyers of all time. I would put him on the same level as a Rey Mysterio. And, this is a guy I would say, other than outside of the Dudley Boys, I would say Rob Van Dam is probably the guy who had the most success after ECW folded, came into WWE, became a world champion a few times over, and just one of the all-time greats, obviously, or he wouldn't be on this list. Number 45, the bad guy, Scott Hall. Yeah, again, he, in my opinion, probably the greatest wrestler to never hold the World Heavyweight Championship. I mean, for obvious reasons, he's had a lot of personal issues and things like that over the years. But, he's been Intercontinental Champion in WWE 5 times, Tag Team Champion, U.S. Champion in WCW, the original founding member of the NWO, and really the catalyst of the Monday Night Wars when he came through the crowd, interrupted Nitro, and basically just said, "You want a war? You're gonna get a war." And the WCW just kind of took off from there. Number 44, the greatest high flyer of all time, in my opinion, is Rey Mysterio Jr. Another one that kind of came out of nowhere, but one who just wouldn't be denied. I mean, came into WWE after WCW folded, not immediately after, it was a little while later, but and became the top dog. Has been World Heavyweight Champion, has been WWE Champion. Basically proved that he can hang with pretty much anybody, and he's not just a cruiserweight or a light heavyweight. Number 43, probably one of the most beloved and one of the most tragic stories in wrestling is Owen Hart. Another one whose life was ended way too soon because of a tragic accident, and just to think of where he could have gone in his career. I mean, by all accounts, he was in line to be world champion probably within the year. Of his death, and it's really sad that he's not in the Hall of Fame, that his wife won't allow it. I mean, I understand, or I can sympathize with, she blames WWE for his death, and maybe rightfully so, but there has to come a time, or there should come a time, in my opinion, let his fans have something. Let his family have that. Let his children have that. Let them see, what their father meant to so many people all over the world. And that's really all I can say about that. Number 42, another tragic story in wrestling is Eddie Guerrero. Another one lost way too soon, and another one along the same lines as Rey Mysterio. You kind of didn't expect him to excel to the level that he did in the WWE, but this is a man who defeated Brock Lesnar for the World Championship. So, he was the top dog in WWE for a good while there. Number 41, Jerry the King Lawler. When it came to the territory days, there are not many who could touch Jerry Lawler. I mean, Ric Flair would definitely be one of them. But yeah, especially in Memphis, Lawler is, almost godlike in Memphis, Tennessee. But Lawler, if I'm not mistaken, has held more singles championships than anybody else in the history of pro wrestling. And obviously they're mostly all like regional or territory type championships. But yeah, and as far as commentary goes, I mean, greatest color man of all time, without a doubt. Along with Jim Ross, of course. Number 40, another great hardcore legend, Terry Funk, former NWA World Heavyweight Champion. Had some great matches with Ric Flair. And, later in his career had some great hardcore type matches with Mick Foley in the WWE. Number 39 is Triple H, multi-time World Heavyweight Champion. Another, kind of Mr. Everything, has done all there is to do, and is now an executive with the WWE. He is the driving force, creative mind behind NXT, which a lot of people hold up as kind of the best wrestling that there is right now. And I'm one of those people. So Triple H has proven, not just in the ring as a wrestler, but also behind the scenes as an executive and as a creative force. He he is one of the all-time greats, and by by all accounts, whenever Vince McMahon is ready to retire or step down or, God forbid, passes away, Triple H is going to be the one to pick up where he leaves off. Number 38, and this is probably going to make a lot of people grunt and groan, but number 38 for me is John Cena. Um, you know, Cena has fallen prey to kind of the same thing as Roman Reigns, where fans are saying, "Oh, they're pushing him down our throats," and but I mean, he was chosen to be the guy, and there is nobody who works harder than John Cena inside the ring, outside the ring, whatever it may be. 16-time world champion on an official level, tied with Ric Flair for most world title reigns, and just I mean he's the one everybody says, he's the first one at the arena. He's the last one to go home. Always puts on a good match. I've never seen a bad John Cena match. I really have not. People complain, oh, the 5 moves of doom, that's all he can do. Everybody has their moveset. Everybody's got a 5 moves of doom or a 4, 3, 2, whatever it is. Everybody's got their little finishing set that, their signature moves. So, I think it's just, with John Cena, I think it's just people looking for something to complain about. But John Cena, number 38, to me, has more than earned his spot in the top 100 of all time. Number 37 is Conan. And a lot of people might be scratching their heads at this one. I'm not just talking about the WCW Conan, who was part of the NWO and part of the Wolfpack with the kind of gangster, persona and things like that. I'm also talking about Conan from Mexican wrestling, who has been compared many, many times to they have called him the Mexican version of Hulk Hogan. Just held up as the greatest of all time down there. He's not just a wrestling star, movie star, TV star, and pretty much just does it all. So if all you've ever seen of Conan is his WCW matches, go a little bit further back and try to find some of his matches from Mexico. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised, or even some much earlier WCW stuff when he started making like sporadic appearances. When he would wrestle with a mask on and things like that. But yeah, as far as Mexican wrestling goes, he has been the number one guy down there for many, many years. Number 36, Superstar Billy Graham. And he was unique in that he was really one of the first heel champions to have a really long title reign in WWE. Now, in the NWA, it was more common because they operated under a different philosophy. The NWA's thing was you have a heel champion and you have your top baby faces chase him for the title. That's why you had Ric Flair was the perennial world champion in the NWA. He was their top heel. WWF always had the babyface champion like Bruno Sammartino, like Bob Backlund, like Pedro Morales, and they would hold the title for a long time. Superstar Billy Graham was really one of the first heel champions in WWF to hold that title for about a year. So that's a significant accomplishment in and of itself. And, his influence can be seen all over the place in pro wrestling, and I think that kind of gets overlooked at times. But you look at guys like Jesse the Body Ventura, you look at Hulk Hogan, even guys like Triple H, to get into a little more modern times. Superstar Billy Graham is the one who really influenced all of them. He was kind of the first to have that bodybuilder, really muscular type look. Now, I mean, Bruno Sammartino was very, very strong, very big guy, but he didn't have the bodybuilder type look. He wasn't really cut up and everything like that, where Superstar Billy Graham was, and was really one of the first ones in WWF to have that look. And he was wearing the tie-dye and the bleach blonde beard and hair and things like that. And like I said, you see that influence still going on today. And the last name for today, for the second third of this list, at number 35, the Enforcer, Arn Anderson. Again, right up there with Scott Hall as one of the best ever to not hold the World Heavyweight Championship. Of course, most times he was, pretty much Ric Flair's right-hand man. Arn Anderson, the one that coined the name Four Horsemen for himself, Flair, Ole Anderson, and Tully Blanchard originally. And yeah, he was. He always seemed to hold the television title, the tag team title multiple times. tag champion in the NWA, WCW, and the WWE, and just one of the best tag team wrestlers of all time, and one of the best singles wrestlers of all time. I cannot say enough about how much respect I have for Arn Anderson. I actually had the pleasure of meeting him at StarCast. Just a great human being, nice guy, and one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. And I don't think anybody would argue with that. This is one that I struggled with. I really think I should put him higher, but then there's all these other guys. So he's number 35 for me. But 35 out of 100, that's still pretty damn good, I think. And so that's going to wrap it up for today. Next week will probably be a pretty short show, since there's really nothing big going on with wrestling this next week, with it being Christmas and everything. But I will have the top 34 to finish this list out. I'm also going to have a special announcement about a special show that I'm going to have coming up in January in a few weeks. So I hope everybody will check out the show to see what that's all about. And yeah, again, thanks everybody who's been tuning into the show, who's been checking it out on Podbean, Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, YouTube, Twitch, and anywhere else you can find podcasts. Please give me a like, a follow, a share on social media, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever it might be. And if you have any questions, comments, something you'd like to see me talk about on the show, something you agree with, disagree with, if you're keeping up with this list here, maybe you've got your own. You think my list is out of order. Maybe somebody should be higher, should be lower, shouldn't be on the list at all. Did I leave somebody out who needs to be on the list? Leave me questions, comments, shoot me an email at catchhookshoot@gmail.com. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I will talk to you guys next week. Like I said, I will have the last third of my top 100 male singles wrestlers of all time, and I will have a special announcement about a very special show coming up towards the end of January. And hopefully sometime after the first of the year, I will be having another big announcement. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag about that one yet until I know for sure what's going on. But yeah, and as always, help me grow, help me make this show bigger. Share it with your friends, your family, anybody who's into wrestling. Just say, hey, check out Catch Hook and Shoot, and yeah, I appreciate any kind of publicity I can get from you guys. But for right now, I am going to sign off. So I hope everybody has a great holiday. Hope everybody has a safe holiday. Enjoy the time with family and friends. And yeah, again, thanks for checking out the show. Have a great holiday, and I'll talk to you guys soon.